Hey everyone, it's Greg from Rev, checking in on prototyping. So this is our first iteration of a super fast shooter prototype. All we've done here is we've used some 15mm extrusion with brackets, a ultraplanetary, and one of our grip wheels to just do it. We've added a couple extra gears in here as a little bit of extra flywheel weight just to do some testing. This is a 5-to-1 gear reduction on the ultraplanetary. So I'm going to show you what this is. Just because we're dealing with shooters and spinning flywheel, it's always important to be safe. So I'm going to wear safety glasses for this, and we're just going to kind of see how this goes. So as you can see, 5-to-1 doesn't really seem like it's got enough speed. The shots themselves are very consistent, but we were only shooting about 18 inches. We're going to swap that out to a 3-to-1 and see what happens. All right, so we've switched this ultraplanetary to a 3-to-1 gear reduction instead of 5-to-1. Everything else is the same, and we're going to see how the results of this one go. So this time, instead of going about 18 inches, it looks like they were going about 3 feet, 4 feet. So now we're kind of in two different modes. Obviously, that's not far enough to try to sink a 12-foot shot. So we're going to try a couple different things. I think the first thing I'm going to try is taking this to 1-to-1, just removing the gearbox completely and see what 1-to-1 on the wheel does. That might not be a great solution, but we're going to give that a shot first before we start making other adjustments to the setup. When it comes to trying to work through collecting data to see how it changes, whether it improves or not, it's really important to only change one variable at a time. So in this case, I'm not changing compression, I'm not changing the wheel. All we're doing is changing the gearbox. So we'll make those changes. I'll be right back. All right, so we've swapped this out to no gear ratio. So this is 1-to-1, but it's going through an ultraplanetary, so it's using the bearing on the output shaft to do a good support. If everything goes well, you're probably not even going to see where these land. So all right, so as you can tell, that's a lot closer to what we were expecting performance. But one of the things that we're having a problem with here is this thing is vibrating like crazy. And when you're trying to spin the motor so fast with so much flywheel, it's creating a lot of vibration. And since we don't have this really secure, it's just a really light duty frame, I think we're going to have to kind of go up in rigidity for the next prototype. The other thing that I think that we're going to want to try really quick, maybe still on this prototype, is maybe add a second wheel here. The reason we want to try to maybe add a second wheel is so that when I tried to push multiple through at the same time, you could see that the second disc dropped a little bit from the first one, and that's generally an indication that you're really at the edge of speed. And so if we can increase the disc across two different wheels, that might allow this to recover, which means you'll be able to shoot these quite a bit faster. So give me a quick second, I'm gonna mount another motor and we'll come back and test it. All right, so we've added another motor that's also at 1-to-1, and we're gonna test this. I will say that I turned this on before I turned the camera on, and while it fires really well, it's also a little bit terrifying based on the amount of non-support that you have here. So if you build this setup, please make sure to be safe. We're gonna probably after this take this and build it more rigid to really test it, because this is about as far as I'm willing to take this as is. So Mac, you want to turn it on? All right. So as you can see, this thing's shooting like a laser beam off the side. We have a wall over here, so I don't exactly know how far away it is. I mean, I know it's at least 6 feet from the center of this to that wall, and it's still climbing at the point that it hits that wall. So I think the next thing we'll do is maybe I'll take this out to the field, and we'll do a little bit of just a distance test where we can do it, but I really do want to do some more security on this right after that quick test. All right, so we brought this prototype out into the field. We were just really excited to see what it could do on the field. So I brought it out here. Mac's going to turn it on, and we're just going to fire a couple shots, and then we're going to go kind of reinforce it if it does well and work on improvements. So, all right. So you can see there's like a curve to this shot, so I'm going to try to compensate. So it wasn't going as great as I hoped it was going to go, but I think that a lot of that, some of that has to do with the heavy vibration that we're doing in here, where we haven't, it's really loose and wobbly, so I really want to tighten this up. It definitely has the distance, but right now it's just really, really inconsistent on the shot, and part of that might have to be with the way that I'm feeding it in, the wheels and everything. We haven't really done much work on this compression at all, because we were trying to only modify one variable at a time, but this gives us enough to work on that I think we're going to spend some time tonight and maybe into tomorrow a little bit building a slightly more robust version of this shooter, because it's promising enough that we're going to take it to that next level. So we'll check back in a little bit later.